In the basement, the hostages doubt Charlie. An Indian student calculates the distance between China and Syria at approximately 7,000 kilometers and can't believe he arrived in 24 hours without a flight. Charlie taunts. The embassy refused to pay the $80 million ransom, so the US won't send SEALs. Melba is shocked to hear Charlie Wade and cries. After the WeChat chat evidence is revealed, her friends remain silent. Melba eventually accompanies Charlie despite being detained. Hamid, the commander, enters, shocked and threatened. Faisal, affected by the aura, confesses his loyalty to Charlie. Then Hamid is captured and the base is overrun.
Chapter 2666. Hearing Charlie's question, the boy blurted out and retorted, "First of all, I don't believe you came from China at all. Because this is simply unrealistic." After speaking, he looked at everyone and said very seriously, "Everyone has studied the world geography and Chinese geography as well. You must all know the distance between China and this place. If you fly over from the central part of China, the straight line distance is at least 6,000 kilometers, right? If you fly over from the western region of China, the straight line distance will not be less than 5,000 kilometers. Charlie gave a thumbs up and said with a smile, "You are so fucking clever. You know everything." After speaking, Charlie turned around and said jokingly, "But you guessed it wrong, big smart man, I'm not from Central China or West China, I'm from East China." East China. The Indian boy who Charlie said was smart said disdainfully, "East China is even more impossible. East China to here is, not less than 7,000 kilometers, how did you fly over in such a short time? On a rocket." As he said, he sneered again. Furthermore, as everyone knows, Syria has not resumed navigation due to the war. If you want to get from China to Syria, you must first fly to neighboring countries, and then transfer to land transportation. Even if you use the shortest route and don't delay for a minute, according to my estimation, you will have at least 20 hours to arrive, but we haven't been captured for 24 hours until now. Do you have the ability of an unknown prophet? So, if you want me to say, you are lying." Charlie shook his head helplessly, looked at Melba, and asked, "Is this guy always like this?" Melba's expression was a little embarrassed at once, but also a little hesitant. In fact, she was not sure about Charlie's identity, and she couldn't believe what Charlie said. Moreover, listening to his voice face to face is somewhat different from what she and he talked through their mobile phones in the WeChat communication. In addition, Charlie didn't reveal his identity, so she was a little unpredictable at once. After all, the speculation made by her partner just now is not unreasonable. Charlie's statement is somewhat contrary to logic, both in terms of time and space. At this time, the clever guy continued, "Tell you, our SEAL team strives to be 100% successful every time it performs a mission, so they will definitely formulate a comprehensive rescue plan first, and then perform the scalpel. The rescue operation. I believe they will rescue us after some time." Charlie sneered and said, "Okay, stop this nonsense, you can pull a calf when you open your mouth, right? I tell you the truth, the news that you guys were captured is not reported by the European and American media at all. Do you know what it means not to report? It means that your fellow Americans don't even know that you are captured. So your army will not bother to send troops to rescue you, let alone send troops to rescue you so much. The opposition went to your embassy and demanded 80 million ransom, but they were rejected. You still expect them to send troops to rescue you? Do you think your father is Buffett and Bill Gates? I don't believe it." Several of them retorted in unison, "You must be lying." Just now, the Indian boy looked at Melba and said loudly, "Melba, you must be careful of this person. I seriously suspect that this person is a member of the opposition. Otherwise, even if he has great abilities, he cannot be so short. Arrive here within the time limit, and don't forget, there are still 1,000 or 2,000 opposition soldiers guarding here. If he were not one of them, he would never come in alive. Look at him, wearing opposition costumes and holding the weapon of the opposition. This person must be a member of the opposition." Immediately, he stared at Charlie and said coldly, "This guy is running here now to act with you and slander us all. I don't know what his intention is. Maybe it's because the opposition knows you are a Chinese American, so they found him from the team to come and set up the game with you. I think he must have been arranged by the opposition to instigate you. You must not believe him." Charlie was so angry that he wanted to laugh at the silly bird, and asked him, "Since you are so determined that I am a member of the opposition, then you pretend to be so coercive in front of me so suddenly." The Indian boy was obviously a little nervous, but he still pretended to be tough and said, "I don't believe you dare to attack me. Your opposition took such a great effort to capture us, isn't it just to negotiate conditions with our country? Is it? If you kill me, what else would you use to negotiate terms with our country? Moreover, if our country wants to retaliate against you, it will be your end. Only a few missiles will be able to razor this place to the ground." Charlie sarcastically said, "Of the 8 of you, 1 of you counts as one. It's nothing more than a schoolmaster with better academic performance. In terms of family background, are your parents rich? In terms of background, any one of your parents can become the United States' state counselor. If you want money, no power, and lick your face and wait for the SEALs to save you. You want people to use missiles to avenge you. It's not that I despise you. Any small and medium conventional missile costs a lot. Millions of dollars, and surface-to-surface missiles start at tens of millions of dollars. Do you deserve revenge with such an expensive weapon?" The inquisitive boy's expression is very ugly. He wants to say something, but suddenly he can't find any words to refute. At this time, another boy of Chinese descent said, "You don't confuse people here anymore. As we all know, the United States always values the safety of citizens most. All 8 of us are social pillars. The country will certainly rescue us at all costs. Yes, you are running over to brainwash us now. Don't you just want us to cooperate with you to criticize our country? I know your tricks. As long as we scold the United States, you will be so excited that you can't sleep, and you want to send the video to all, make it go viral in the world." Charlie put away the joking smile just now, looked at the young man with a face of wonder, and asked seriously, "I ask you, are you American or Chinese?" "Of course I am an American." The boy blurted out without hesitation, "My passport was taken away by you. If you go to see my passport now, you can see clearly that I am a citizen of the United States of America." Charlie nodded, deeply disappointed in this group of people, especially this boy of Chinese descent. Although what he said was not wrong, it made Charlie feel very uncomfortable. So, he became light and cold and said, "Well, in this case, then you also wait for your country to save you." After speaking, he looked at Melba again and said seriously, "Miss Watt, I don't want to ask you the same question anymore. I am entrusted by your father to save you, so no matter which country you think you are from, as long as you are willing to follow me, I will rescue you and take you back to China. But, if you really don't want to go with me, I will never do things in which I have to force others. Could you please record a video to explain that you don't want to go? I will take the video back to your dad to give him an explanation." "Who are you and what is your name?" asked Melba. "My name is Charlie Wade and your father sent me here to rescue you as I mentioned earlier," Charlie replied earnestly. When Charlie said his name, Melba was struck by lightning, leaving her face full of shock. She and Charlie have never met, but only had a voice chat on WeChat. Since she didn't talk much and didn't have a lot of content, she didn't have a deep impression of Charlie's voice, so she never mentioned the one in front of her was the man she connected with on WeChat. But now, after hearing the name, Melba immediately matched the two of them. At this moment, she blurted out excitedly and asked, "Mr. Wade, why are you here?" Charlie shrugged and sighed helplessly. Said, "I told you already that this place is not safe, right? You don't believe me. Do you know that your father is worried about you?" Melba couldn't stop her tears when she heard this. The Indian boy on the side subconsciously said, "Melba, you must not be fooled by him. This guy is not a good person at first sight." The Chinese boy also took the conversation and said in agreement, "Yes, you know Melba, don't believe it. Hey, you must firmly believe that our army will definitely save us." As he said, he was a little excited and said excitedly, "I believe that as long as we persist, after we are saved, in the eyes of the media, one is a hero who swears to the death in front of the opposition forces, so when we return to the United States, we will definitely become a hero in everyone's eyes. If you are cheated by him now and instigated by him, then you will not only be able to become a hero, you might even become a street mouse that everyone shouts at and beat." Charlie saw that this guy's brain circuit was so strange that he couldn't understand it, so he sneered and asked him, Man, you should have been born and raised in the United States since childhood. Right. The Chinese boy nodded gently. Charlie said with a smile on his face. No wonder, the person hurriedly asked. No wonder. Charlie smiled and said, no wonder you are so talented. We really can't cultivate a talent like you back in the country. Seeing that everyone was still questioning Charlie's identity, Melba hurriedly said, you're all misunderstood. Mr. Wade is definitely not a member of the opposition. He is the chairman of China Embrand Group. He is the one that I told you about before. How is it possible? The other 7 people blurted out almost at the same time. One of the girls said, Melba, your brain must be broken. Think about it, how could it be possible for a big boss with a net worth of over 100 billion? So young, she said. Without waiting for Melba's answer, she immediately added, it's nothing more than being so young. But have you ever thought about how could a big boss with a worth of over 100 billion come to Syria to do this kind of thing in person? Saying that again, Sanjay has given you just the right analysis, and if he really is the big boss, how likely he arrived here from China in such a short time? Do you think he's Iron Man? Quote. The Chinese-American boy blurted out, yes. Melba, if you think about it carefully, you have never seen Mr. Wade, so how do you judge that this guy is him? I suspect this guy might have hacked your phone password, checked your chat history, and found this flaw, so he pretends to be Mr. Wade to come and lie to you. Melba shook her head and said firmly, I can be sure that he is Mr. Wade. Just now I didn't tell him what he is in reality. The voice corresponds to his voice in the voice chat, but now I can be sure that the two of them are the same person. Others thought Melba must be crazy. Chinese-American boys, shaking his head on the side, said, Melba, I know you're a girl who is certainly afraid of death, but you have to believe, in this world, there is no random killing of an American citizen. We would ultimately be rescued. Charlie was amused by him, and couldn't help asking him, my dear, I'll say something that's not black, objective, and fair. There are various shootings in the United States all day long, and it will lead to several, even dozens of innocent people's deaths. Civilians die, you still say that no one would dare to kill a US citizen at will. Don't you feel contradictory? The Chinese boy blushed and retorted, the situations you said all happened in China. No. What happened overseas? How can you count what happened here? Charlie smiled and asked, what do you mean? What happened here is contradictions among the people. That's right. The Chinese boy immediately agreed and said, it's the contradiction among the people. Charlie nodded, looked at Melba, and said, from my point of view, your dad must know that you get mixed up with these stupid things all day long, and I don't know how sad it will be for him. Melba's expression was extremely embarrassing. She also feels that her friends are usually smarter than the others, all of them are academic bullies and elites, but now she doesn't know why, all of them seem very anti-intellectual. Charlie was not sure whether Melba really believed in his identity, so he took out his mobile phone and opened the dialogue between him and Melba from WeChat, then turned the screen to her, pulled up the chat log, and said, this kind of chat record can't be forged, so you believe my identity? Melba said almost without hesitation, I believe it. Several other people saw this scene, and they were shocked to speak. They are here. They attacked Charlie's every word for a long time, wasting so much tongue, just to prove that Charlie is a fake. For this reason, they moved out various arguments and packed their views seamlessly from the inside to the outside. But now, with only one mobile phone, Charlie completely overturned all the judgments made by these self-righteous top students, making these 7 people dumbfounded for a while. The Indian kid couldn't help exclaiming, this is impossible. Even if you were really Chairman Wade, you cannot rush to Syria from eastern China in such a short time. Yes. The Chinese kid also said, this is not logical. Even the fastest civil airliner can't do it. Charlie sneered and asked, you two are the best. I ask you, you guys, what is the fastest civil airliner known in the world? The Chinese boy blurted out with a proud face, of course I know. I have a deep research on aircraft. The fastest civil airliner currently is the Gulfstream G650 business jet. This aircraft is using the engine of Rolls-Royce in the United Kingdom. It is powerful. Its flying speed can reach Mach 0.95, which is 95% of the speed of sound. But it is also one of the most expensive business jets in the world. I can afford it. Charlie applauded. You really have damn good material for learning. It seems that you must be very good at memorizing the text. I used to see all kinds of keyboard car gods who didn't even have a driver's license on the internet. Encountered a keyboard machine god. The Chinese kid said angrily, don't be sneered here. Even if you were really sitting on the Gulfstream G650, it is impossible to arrive in Syria in such a short time. So you must be hiding something. An unspeakable secret. Charlie smiled. I'm sorry, I really didn't come with a G650. Having said that, Charlie put away his smile and said calmly, I'm here on a Concorde airliner. Concorde. When Charlie said these 4 words, everyone was stunned. Who can believe that the legend and the super king of civil aviation speed Concorde, which ended as early as 20 years ago, it's still in operation now? The Chinese kid subconsciously laughed and said, you really know how to say that the Concorde has long been retired. Now there is no airline in the world, and it has a supersonic speed in operation. Do you think we are a fool? Charlie shook his head and laughed at him. Oh, I really don't understand myself, what am I doing with you so much? After finishing speaking, he looks at Melba, said, the situation is urgent now. The opposition has announced to the public that if the US embassy does not agree to their demand, it will start killing hostages, so we don't want to delay any more time and leave this now. Melba couldn't help asking, then my friends. Charlie reached out his hand to stop her and said, what kind of stupid people are your friends? I believe you are watching it all. Put the words here, today I will only take you alone, to go or not to go, I will give you 10 seconds to consider. Just take one person. One boy put his right hand in the air disdainfully, made a gesture of reaching out and twisting the light bulb, curled his mouth, and said, you really feel good about yourself. Tell you the truth, even if you ask if you let me go with you, I won't go with you. Charlie ignored him, but looked at Melba and said, there are still 5 seconds left. Quote, Melba, suddenly fell into a dilemma. She really wanted to leave with Charlie. After all, he was entrusted by her father to come to Syria to save her. However, she didn't want to just treat these classmates who share common ideals and stay here. At this moment, the kid of Chinese descent said immediately, Melba, even if his identity is not a problem, you must never follow him. There are 1,000 or 2,000 opposition armed forces outside, and if you are not careful, you may be caught. You must not make a joke about your life's safety. Yes, a white boy said, the best way for us now is to wait for our troops to rescue us. If you go with him now, not only after 9 deaths, even if you survive by chance, you will definitely regret it. At this moment, Melba fully understands that it is absolutely impossible for her to convince this group of friends. So she opened her mouth and said, everyone, I don't want to hit everyone's self-confidence, but I don't really believe that the SEAL team will come to rescue me. So far, Melba hesitated for a while, and finally said firmly, so I decided to talk to Mr. Charlie and leave. Whether it's life or death, I won't regret my decision. Charlie nodded and said, okay, don't talk nonsense with them anymore, let's go now. After that, he walked over. In front of Melba, he pulled her up from the ground and untied the rope tied to her hand. At this moment, he suddenly noticed that someone was walking down the stairs outside, so he immediately whispered in Melba's ear, someone is here, sit back first. Melba hurriedly sat back on the ground, and Charlie stepped back a few steps and quickly stuck it on the wall next to the iron gate. After a while, he heard someone speaking in Arabic outside. Charlie could perceive it, and 3 people walked down the stairs at this time. The headed person is saying something loudly. Immediately afterward, 2 of the 3 people stayed at the door of the outermost door, and the head walked in by himself. As soon as he entered the door, Faisal and the others immediately said loudly, hello, Commander Hamid. Upon hearing this, Charlie's spirits jumped all of a sudden. At the same time, he also spurned the 7 highly educated stupid birds in front of him. Didn't they wait for the Marines to rescue them? The Marines did not come, but the Angel of Death came first. Then, he listened to that Commander Hamid and Faisal and others outside exchanged a few words, probably asking Faisal how the hostages inside are. One of the guards hurriedly said that everything is normal. And then the leader said, open the door. Immediately, the door opened sounded. After a while, the iron gate was pushed aside from the outside, and a man in a desert camouflage stepped in. What's interesting is that the moment he stepped in, his figure swayed to the left, which made Charlie instantly see that this guy was still lame with a problem with his left leg. Hamid stepped forward and saw these 8 hostages didn't wear headgear, and he was furious. He shouted sharply, "Fouquet! Why don't they wear headgear? Now that they see my face, won't I have to kill them?" As soon as the voice fell, he realized there was still a figure in the peripheral light on his right side, so he hurriedly turned his head and saw Charlie, who was looking directly at him with a smile on his face. Seeing that Charlie was an unfamiliar face, he was suddenly shocked, and he subconsciously went to his pocket to draw a gun. At this moment, Charlie pointed the muzzle of the AK-47 directly at him, then closed the door with one foot, and said with a smile, "Come on, kneel on the ground with your hands on your head." After speaking, he shook his head again and said to himself, "I guess you can't understand what I said." Hamid blurted out, "You are the Chinese people." Charlie curious and asked, You also speak Chinese?" Hamid put a calm, said, "I've had studied in China, I learned Chinese. Originally, my father wanted me to fully develop trade with China in the future, but I did not expect that my father would be killed by the government forces." After speaking, he looked at Charlie and asked coldly, "Who are you? How come you are here? Are you a member of the government army?" Charlie smiled slightly, "I'm not from the government army." Hamid with an expression of horror, blurted, "Whom do you serve?" Charlie pointed to Melba. "I was commissioned by the girl's father to bring his baby daughter home." After that, he pointed to Hamid again and said coldly, "So you guys are not righteous, and go to war. But you kidnapped a few students who were stupid in reading and were not afraid of other people's intentions." Hamid gritted his teeth and yelled, "Stop talking nonsense with me here. I tied them because they are with the government army and are my enemy. And you ran to me without shame and want to take them away when I am here. You come as you want, and leave as you want." Charlie smiled and said, "Otherwise. Believe it or not, if I kill you now, I can still safely evacuate." Hamid gritted his teeth and said, "It's all my people outside. You can't escape at all." Charlie shook his head, No, you are wrong. The outside is all my people." Then, Charlie opened the door and told Faisal, "Take the 2 outside and control this guy, remember not to let the people in the yard hear it." Faisal nodded without hesitation, "Yes." Hamid stunned and yelled, "Faisal, you dare to betray me? Betray our grand goal of overthrowing the government army? Sorry." Faisal pointed at Charlie respectfully with both hands, and said without hesitation, "I am only loyal to this gentleman now."